It was one of those nights in Willow Creek, Oregon, back in October '92, where the rain just wouldn't quit pounding down like the sky had a grudge against the earth, turning the old highway into a slick black river that could swallow you whole if you weren't careful. I was driving my beat-up '85 Ford Bronco home after a brutal 14-hour shift at Oak Ridge Hospital, bone-tired, knuckles white on the wheel, thinking about Dad Tom Carter, 68, tough as nails ex-Marine with lungs wrecked from years of service and smokes, fighting what the docs called emphysema, but he just growled at as this crap in my chest. And then, out of nowhere, lightning cracks the sky and lights up this mangled Harley sprawled on the shoulder, a guy pinned under it, blood mixing with the mud. I didn't think twice, just slammed on the brakes, grabbed my med kit from the back, and ran out into that mess. Because hell, that's what you do when you've spent 8 years as a field medic in Desert Storm. You don't drive by and pretend it's not your problem. Rain soaking me through my scrubs and jacket. I knelt down, checked his pulse weak, but therein saw the patches on his leather, that skull and wings of the Devil's Riders. The kind of club folks whisper about. Tough guys with reputations that make you cross the street. A truck slows, window rolls down. Some old-timer yells over the storm. "Lady, leave it, hat's a rider, cops'll handle it." But I waved him off, because in that flash, he wasn't some outlaw. He was a patient bleeding out, maybe minutes from gone, and my hands were already moving on autopilot, levering the bike off his leg with a crowbar from my truck, packing the gash on his side, splinting the brake, talking him through it, even though his eyes were glazed. He stirred once, those piercing green eyes locking on my old Marine pin peeking from my collar, lips moving faint Semper Fi, sister, before he faded again, and I held pressure till the sirens wailed in, paramedics taking over, one of them clapping my shoulder like, "You saved him." Not many would have stopped. 3 months roll by, winter biting hard in Willow Creek, freezing rain. Folks hunkered down and I'm grinding through shifts at Oak Ridge, charting vitals, pushing meds, but something's off. Dad's bill's skyrocketing because insurance reclassified his inhalers as optional, like breathing's a luxury. And at work, this new director, Dr. Harlan, starts gunning for me, calls me into his office, slides a grainy photo across the desk of me chatting with my mentor, old Mike Reynolds, retired charge nurse, who's like a second dad, restoring bikes in his garage. MS. "Carter, we have standards here associating with Devil's Riders types like Reynolds. Bad for our image," he says, all Ivy League smug, never served a day but loves lecturing on civilian protocols versus my battlefield habits. I bite my tongue and afford to lose the gig, not with Dad's oxygen tank humming constant in our little rental, but inside. It's boiling, especially when he cuts my overtime, says no more ICU fills, stick to R, like he's punishing me for. What? Being a vet? Talking to Mike? Then the weird stuff starts. A Harley idling across from our house one afternoon, rider just watching, gone when Dad steps out to confront him. Same bike shadows me to work, parks in the lot, but never approaches. One night, package on the porch, new carburetor and belts for my Bronco, stuff I'd griped about to Dad, but no one else, no note, just there. Mike pulls me aside in the locker room. "I serious, keep your head on a swivel. Something's brewing. Maybe tied to that rider you pulled from the wreck." I brush it off at first, but sleep shot, jumping at shadows, until one midnight walk home, Bronco in the shop with those mystery parts. 3 guys corner me in the alley behind Maine. Leather jackets with Viper patches, that rival club, Iron Vipers, known for rougher edges, shadier deals. The big one, Viper, they called him, shaved head, snake tack curling up his neck, steps up, knife flicking open. "You should have let Hawk die on that road. Nurse, messing with Ryder's business. Now you're a message we gotta send." Heart pounding. I grip my pepper spray, mind racing back to combat drills 3-on-1. Bad odds. But I won't go quiet, and he sneers. "Nothing personal, but Hawk's poking into our pharmaties, and you saving him? Screws everything." That's when engines roar. Headlights blinding from the alley's end. Harley's forming up like a wall, and out steps Hawk himself, scarred face, green eyes sharp with this older guy. Boss, their chapter presence like a storm front. "Back off." Viper's under our wing now. Boss growls, voice low thunder, and Viper tenses, knife waving. "Since when do riders protect random do-gooders?" Hawk steps forward, calm but deadly, since she dragged my ass from death without asking questions, saw the vet patch under my cut, treated me like kin debts paid in blood if you touch her. They stare each other down. Air thick with old grudges. Turns out Vipers and Riders have beef going back years over turf, runs, loyalties fractured by betrayals, and Boss lays it out. Emily and her old man Tom? Off limits, or every chapter from here to the border comes calling. Viper spits, backs off with his goons. This ain't over. We'll see who protects who forever. And just like that, the alley clears, leaving me shaky against the wall. Hawk approaching slow. Hands up, you okay? We've been watching since the hospital let me out. First to thank you, then when Vipers sniffed around. Protection detail. Anger flares stalking me? Gifts on my porch? But he nods. No apology. Just fact. You saved one of ours. Club's code honor that. And Boss chimes in. Softer. Knew your dad from Nam. Different outfits. Same mud. He pulled my squad from an ambush that should have ended us. That stack up. We pile into Mike's place that night, him and his wife Maggie bundling us up, Dad grumbling but alert, oxygen hissing in over coffee in their guest house. The whole mess unravels like a bad dream turning real. Hawk explains, voice rough from the road, wasn't no accident that night. Vipers ran me off, 'cause I'd been digging into Pharmatech Big Drug Corp rigging supplies, jacking prices on stuff like your dad's inhalers, creating shortages to line pockets. Boss leans in. And it's worse. They're testing shady protocols, skipping safety, paying off docs like Harlan to enroll patients, vets especially, studying how we hold up under crap meds. Your dad's one of them, targeted cause of his service record, turning heroes into lab rats. Inner storm hits meal those elective reclassifications, Dad's worsening coughs despite cutting-edge scripts. It wasn't bad luck, it was deliberate. Harlan on the take, manipulating charts, hiding side effects that killed folks quietly. Mike nods, eyes hard. I've seen patterns in records, patients tanking on Pharmatech gear. Nancy and scheduling's brother is FBI. She's been backing up files sneaky. Dad squeezes my hand. Old Marine fire flickering, we fight back. Expose M. Plan forms fast, infiltrate Oak Ridge, grab proof from servers before they wipe it, but doubt Nas. Me, a nurse sworn to heal, now sneaking like a spy? Yet seeing Dad's labored breaths, knowing Harlan's smirks hid poison. Ya, sometimes oaths bend to save more lives. Next night, we roll in shadows. Boss drawing Vipers to the lot with a fake standoff, bikes revving loud to pull eyes while Hawk, Mike, and I slip through service doors, my badge swiping us in. Heart thumping like war drums. We hit the server hall. Overhear Harlan snapping at a tech and Viper goon. Delete it all before those riders crash the party. But Nancy's already triggered a backup from radiology, files copying off-site. I message her, hold on, we're coming, and Hawk creates chaos, crashing carts in the hall, drawing guards while I snag key records on a drive. Dad's chart glaring. Veteran cohort monitor reduced O2 response. They dosed him to worsen it. Data for some twisted VA bit. Gunfire erupts, Vipers firing wild. Security returning in the melee. I corner Harlan. Viper looming with blade drawn. Traitor. He snarls at Harlan. Knife to throat. You killed my brother with your protocols. Promised cure. Delivered death for Pharmatech cash. Harlan chokes. They threaten my family. Victor, I had no choice. And tension cracks the air. Old wounds raw. Vipers bro. Another vet. First casualty in their tests. Payout turned to enforcer gig. Now betrayal boiling over. Hawk edges in. Easy. Viper. Kill him and Pharmatech walks. Use him. Expose the suits who ordered it. Viper wavers. Eyes haunted. Max deserved better. Served his country. Got poisoned for profit. And slowly lowers the blade. Truce fragile, fine. But I want him all to burn. FBI rolls up. Nancy's brother leading. Black SUVs flashing. We got the backup. Warrants flying. Cuffing Harlan. Viper turning witness. Spilling on Pharmatech as bribes. Fake trials. Targeted vets. Dad hits ICU that night. Doc's flushing the junk from his system. His color returning as real meds kick in, and he grips my hand. Raspy laugh. Knew you'd lead the charge, kid. Semper Fi. Hospital shakes up. Evans takes over. Promotes me to ER head. Rooting out the rot and as feds raid Pharmatech HQs. Execs hauled in. Class actions brewing. Dad and I testify in DC. Voices for the silenced. Month later, we're in our new spot, Mike and Maggie's gift, cozy house on their land bikes parked out front, riders dropping by like family, Hawk and Boss swapping stories with Dad over brews, bonds deeper than blood. Who'd think a rainy rescue flips your world, turns outlaws into kin, exposes greed preying on heroes. But life's funny debts honored, unlikely alliances holding strong. Yet it leaves you wondering, were the riders heroes or just lucky vigilantes? Pharmatecha's fall justice, or tip of a bigger iceberg? What do you think ever crossed paths with corruption hiding in plain sight, or found allies in the last place you'd look? Drop a comment. Share your take. Love hearing your stories. Might spark the next big one.